think domestic violence goes on because the victims, aren't speaking up for themselves, and they're afraid to get out of their situation. And I think that's why it continues. I think that, it still goes on, even though women are educated, because I think it boils down to self-esteem and self-worth. They don't feel like they deserve any better.
I would say there's still a stigma related to it. It's happening all over the world. I think women they're paid less. There's a lot of violence in many countries. Even in Western so-called equal countries, there are many inequalities. Women themselves are they're in the situation, so it's hard to get out of it, and they're afraid, and what might happen, whether it's violence against them or whether the community might shun them and so on. But I think the more people can talk about it, the more others will talk about it.
People don't speak about domestic violence, I would say, is because I guess they are embarrassed of the situation that they have faced. It's not a shameful thing, but they should speak open so that they will not be treated in a similar manner, or others would not be treated in a similar manner. Or also I would say that they should expose such people who are treating, so that people will know that in future that if they treat anyone, they would be exposed also. So basically they should just feel open and talk about it, so it gets eradicated and people don't behave in such a manner, I would say.
I think it's about power and control from the male side, although men can be victims as well. And I think this society here, where women are not in the same places they might be in Europe, probably feel it even worse here because they feel they don't have the right to complain or to say anything. So I've been with some people and they just say, can I say no? Well, of course you can say no. So that the upbringing here for women, I think, dictates how they feel about themselves and the rights that they may have to speak up for themselves. So the hierarchy from the father, I think, dictates how you then respond later. And education, I think, is important, but I don't think it makes the difference.
I think people need to be more educated about bringing this out in the open so that the same thing doesn't occur again in the future, or it helps the next generation to be more open to all this, the violence that happens, which is unfortunate.
It occurs all over the world, and that the women just have no way out and they're ashamed and they'll blame themselves rather than remove themselves from an awkward situation or a dreadful situation. I think the women that are suffering it, that's part of the problem and their suffering.
I think domestic violence is still there because it's very hard for people to come from the old times, especially now it's like the 21st century and have women who are empowered and higher positions. So I feel as men, it's kind of hard for them to sort of see women standing up for themselves and being able to survive without needing them. And I think all we can do is try to educate them, and as women continue to be empowered and show them that no matter what we do, we're going to continue soaring, and that's it. That's what I can say.